name is Stephanie Battle, and this is Breathe and Restore. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to be working with the breath, opening the front of the body, the sides of the body, and the back of the body, and using restorative and reclined postures with props to move more deeply into those spaces while also opening the hips. So in this practice, you'll need 2 blocks and a blanket, and we'll go ahead and get started. So we'll start in a comfortable seat. I have a blanket underneath me here so I can more easily tip my pelvis forward and find a little bit more length in my lower back, and more easily allow my legs, my thigh bones, and my knees to fall away from my hips. So if that is something that feels like it's a support for you, then go ahead and take that. You can rest your hands onto your lap, bring your shoulders directly over your hips, and level your chin so you find a nice long spine, some soft length in your neck. And then if you're ready, close your eyes. And then just begin by taking a nice deep breath in through your nose and a long exhale through your mouth. Maybe taking a sigh. Take a few more of these audible breaths just to simply arrive, making your way here into your body. And then after the following exhale, begin to close your lips, breathing in and out through the nostrils. And begin to sense on the exhales a greater sensation of weight and connection of the backs of your legs and your sits bones into the floor or into your blanket. Feel the weight of your hands resting onto your lap, and let that encourage the easiness of the elbows and some spaciousness in the armpits. Feel your shoulder blades slide down your back, leaving a little bit more space for the neck. And just feel the weight of your head. And we're going to be moving through a breathing exercise called Dirghaswasam, 3-part breath. And we'll do a little bit of a breakdown of the breath by moving through each one of the 3 segments of the body here to explore the breathing exercise. So let's start by breathing just into the belly and the lower back. So feel the front and the sides of the belly and the low back expand on the breath in, and relax on the breath out. Now we'll take about 4 more cycles of breath here, just bringing your attention to your belly and your lower back. And maybe bringing in the word allow into this practice today, so that you are honoring the breath that's already there, and just really allowing the breath to come in and take up space, and participating with your awareness. Begin to bring your attention now to your front and side and back ribs, expanding on the breath in, and relaxing the rib cage on the breath out. So it's not as if you're trying to lock the belly or the lower back. You're just bringing isolated attention to the rib cage. For about 3 more cycles of breath here. So sensing that the belly moves slightly forward, the side ribs move wide ways, right and left, and the back ribs move into the space behind you. Begin to bring your attention to your chest and your upper back. So as the breath comes in, feeling the chest and the upper back gently expand and lift. And on the exhale, relaxing your chest and your upper back. 4 more cycles of breath here, You might even sense movement under the armpits and in the collarbones. There's nothing to force, nothing to actually do, but just to observe the movement there. Let's see if we can begin to put those 3 sections together. So begin to bring your attention to your low belly and your low back. Breathing in, expanding that space, and then letting the breath rise into the rib cage and the mid back, and then all the way up into the chest and the upper back. And then as you exhale, let the chest and upper back relax, your rib cage soften and draw in, and your low belly and low back relax. And take about 4 more cycles of breath. Integrated 3-part breath, making this breath as smooth and as even as you can. And letting the breath be at a natural speed that supports a grounding quality where you feel well supported. Maybe even noticing if you had created a little bit more space by working with each segment individually. And then take your time lowering your chin towards your chest. Open your eyes slowly, and then begin to gently raise your chin, finding a long spine again. And we'll begin to shift onto our bellies as we explore crocodile pose. So we're going to take our blanket and spread it out so that it's in a square with the neat edge away from us and towards the top end of the mat, and the fringe edge towards the back edge of the mat. And as you come onto the blanket, you're just going to let the blanket support the thigh bones all the way up into the hip points. And then fold your hands here, one on top of the other, and rest your forehead onto your hands or your wrists. And then begin to move your legs apart and point your toes out so that the inner legs are what's resting onto the blanket, your mat, and on the floor. So finding a little bit more space in the hips and the back of the pelvis. And we'll take 3-part breath here in crocodile. So as you breathe in, begin to bring your attention to your belly and feel the belly gently push the floor away and drive the breath into your lower back. So kind of feeling the low back flare. And as you exhale, relax the lower back into the belly and the belly into the floor. And take this for 3 more cycles of breath. You might even sense a gentle expanse of the breath into the back of the pelvis and across the front of the hips. Nice deep belly breaths here. Now begin to move your attention into your front ribs and notice the relationship between the front ribs and the floor. So as the breath comes in, feel the front ribs gently push the floor away, flaring the side ribs and the middle back ribs. And then as you exhale, feel the back and side ribs soften into the front ribs and the front ribs relax into the floor. 3 more cycles of breath with just your attention at the mid-back and the front and side ribs. Really finding a kind of spherical breath all the way around the rib cage. Finally, move your attention into the chest and the upper back. So as the breath comes in, feel the chest gently push the ground away and move the breath into the upper back,
Maybe feeling a little bit more spaciousness between the shoulder blades. And then as you exhale, let the upper back relax into the chest and the chest soften into your mat. 3 more breaths. Maybe feeling a widening of the breath into the armpits and a gentle lift of the collarbones on the breath in and softening as you breathe out. And then let's put that all together. So breathing in, feel the belly push the floor away, the rib cage push the ground away, and the chest gently expand and push the ground away. And then exhale, feel the back body soften into the front body softens into the mat. Keep going for about 3 more cycles of breath. Feeling again the breath spherical. The movement of the breath all the way around, front, side, and back body.
And then move your arms out to the side into a cactus position with your elbows in line with your shoulders. And then you're going to bring your left leg in. So the top of the left thigh, knee, and the top of the foot faces the floor. And then slide your right knee up towards your right elbow. Rest your left ear onto the mat. And then you're going to internally rotate your left shoulder so that your left palm turns up towards the ceiling. So it gives the left shoulder and the upper back a little bit more space. If you'd like, you can even open the mouth here and take a sigh. And you might feel a little bit more weight on the left side of the body here. From the left ear into the shoulder, into the chest and the left rib cage, and all the way down into the left hip and thigh. And then feel the gentle push of the left side of the body away from the mat and a softening of that left side back into the mat. You might even sense that now that right knee is moving up towards the right elbow, that there's a kind of spreading of the breath across the back of the pelvis and the front of the pelvis into the right inner thigh and knee. So moving the breath from the center outwards. Use the breath in to bring your chin back to the mat and come back to cactus with your left arm. Slide your right leg down. And then turn your right ear to the mat and move your left knee up towards your left elbow. Internally rotate that right shoulder and right palm turns up towards the ceiling. So now you have more of a weighted quality into the right side of the body. Again, maybe opening the mouth to inspire more connection of the right side of the body and weight into the floor. Gentle push of the right side away from the mat, and on the exhale, a deeper softening into the mat. On the exhale. Again, maybe feeling a kind of spreading of the breath as well from the center of the pelvis out towards that left knee. Take your time bringing your chin back to the mat and your right arm back to cactus. Slide your left leg down and then bring your hands underneath your shoulders and gently press yourself back to tabletop. And just go ahead and sit back onto your heels. We're going to come into child's pose. So walk your knees up onto the blanket so that your knees are supported and widen your knees apart and bring your big toes to touch. And I'm actually going to bring a block in for my forehead. You can as well. You want to have the width of the knees so that when you bow,
in between the knees, that the sides of the belly gently press against the inner thighs on the breath in and soften away from the inner thighs on the breath out. So bringing the forehead down to the block or to the floor, release your shoulders, your elbows, and your wrists. Maybe apply a little bit of gentle pressure of the forehead into the block. And as you breathe in, feel the sides of the belly expand into the inner thighs. And on the exhale, side belly softens away from the inner thighs. Let's take this for a few more rounds. You also might sense again the breath moving into the back of the body. Let the tongue relax in your mouth, let your jaw relax, all the muscles of the face soft. And we're going to move into side child. So begin to walk your arms over to the right. I'm going to take my block with me. Pick up your torso and rest your belly onto the top of your right thigh. And then extend your left arm forward away from that left hip. I'm going to slide my right hand back so it's closer to my right hip here and just come up onto fingertips. And then reach your left hip back away from your left fingertips, finding a little bit more length along the left side of your body from your left hip all the way through your fingers. Take one more deep breath in here. And then as you exhale, begin to make your way over to the other side. So a little semicircle over to the left. Pick up your torso, rest your torso onto the top of your right thigh. Reach your right arm a little bit more forward and your left hand by your left hip. Move that right hip back away from the reach of your right fingers. And really feel the opening from the right hip through the rib cage, through the right armpit, shoulder, and arm. Opening up along the whole right side of the body. And slowly begin to walk your arms back through the center. And then actively reach your fingertips forward. Move your hips back and curl your sits bones down towards your heels, drawing your navel back slightly so you can really feel some lengthening along the length of your spine here. Release the back of your neck. Go ahead and slide your hands back and roll yourself up one vertebra at a time until you're seated on your heels. And then just take a pause here, noticing how you feel. Noticing if you sense any more spaciousness in the body. A little bit more ease in regards to the breath and how it's flowing. Then we'll move into a little bit more side body opening. So we're going to roll the blanket now into like a little burrito roll. And keep it wide along the center of your mat, and then come onto your left hip with your knees bent and stacked on top of each other. You're going to begin to curl the low ribs over the blanket roll. And then extend that left arm out and rest your left ear onto your left arm. Reach your right arm over your ear and let your right palm rest on the left palm. And just begin to notice the relationship between the left rib cage and the blanket. So as you breathe in, you'll feel the left rib cage gently push the blanket away and move the breath into the top side ribs. On the exhalation, the top side ribs will relax into the bottom side ribs relax into the blanket. For about 4 more cycles of breath here. Just observe that relationship of how the breath moves from the underside to the top side, and from the top side back down to the bottom. We're going to take a little gentle twist from here, so you can bring your right fingertip slightly behind your left, slide that left arm forward in line with the shoulder, and then begin to reach your right arm out to the right. So your chest begins to face the ceiling. And you can also choose to look toward your right hand, or you can decide to look up towards the ceiling here. But begin to bring your attention to the right side back ribs. So with each exhale, see if you can encourage the right side of the back ribs, the upper back, and the right shoulder to soften towards the right side of your mat, increasing your twist here. So now we're beginning to open up more through the chest and the shoulders. You might even feel a gentle opening in the outer right hip. Take one more breath in. And then as you exhale, you're going to bring the soles of your feet to the floor and come to the center. And we're going to take the other side. So I'll be facing away from you for this next portion. So just roll over onto the other side. Bring your right arm out and rest your right ear onto the top of the arm with your knees bent. And then sweep your left arm over your ear with your left palm resting on your right. And begin to notice the relationship between the right side of the rib cage and the blanket. As you breathe in, feel the right rib cage. Push the blanket away and move the breath into the left side ribs. And as the breath releases, feel the top side ribs relax into the right rib cage. Right rib cage relaxes into the blanket for about 4 more cycles of breath. See if you can also allow the shoulders and the upper back to soften. And the arm bones to get heavy. Begin to walk your left fingertips behind your right arm and reach that right arm out to the side in line with your shoulder, and then sweep that left arm open as you open your chest towards the ceiling. Choosing to look at the left hand, or maybe just keep your focus at the ceiling here. You also have the option of bringing your right hand onto the top of your left thigh to encourage a little bit more weight in the legs. Begin to bring your awareness to the left side of your back ribs, and with each exhale, let the left back ribs, the upper back and the shoulders soften towards the left side of your mat. Notice any tension that might be building in the neck, the shoulders, the jaw, the tongue. Just keeping that nice and loose. Encouraging the opening of the left side of the chest, the shoulder, and the left rib cage. Take one more breath in. And then as you exhale, bring the soles of your feet back to the mat. And now you'll face the ceiling completely. So you're going to adjust the blanket so that it's actually supporting the back of the heart. So raising that blanket up just a little bit higher towards your shoulders. And we're going to come into a supported reclined bound angle. So bring the inner feet together. And then let the knees fall apart. I'm going to use blocks to the outer knees. And you can use those as well. And then just come back to that easy cactus shape here. Soft bend of the elbows, palms turning up towards the ceiling so that it inspires a nice open quality across the center of the chest, out towards the shoulders and the arms. And just let the thighs and knees fall open and relax into the block or into the floor. Maybe your eyes close down. And begin to notice the relationship between the back of the heart and the blanket. So as the breath comes in, feel the back body gently engage with the blanket and move the breath into the chest. And then allow the chest to soften into the upper back and the upper back to soften into the blanket. With each breath in, see if you can sense a gentle expanse from the center of the body outwards towards fingertips, towards inner knees, and on the exhalation, a softening. A sense of grounding and a deeper connection of the body into your supports, into the floor. And just enjoying this simple pulse. Begin to bring your right hand to your belly and your left hand to your chest. Maybe your elbows rest on the outer edges of that blanket roll so that there's a little bit more of a blossoming of the chest towards the ceiling and the outer borders of your shoulders down into the mat. And just feel the breath easily rising and falling underneath your palms. You might even feel your heart beating here. Begin to tap into a feeling or a quality that might be arising in this moment. Seeing if you can name this moment, the positive quality that is here, that's present. And sense that quality gently expand with your breath. And that quality return to you to be grounded and nourished. Whether that's a quality of ease, or joy, or appreciation, whatever's coming up for you in this moment, letting that quality expand and take up space as the breath takes up space, and ground again inside the body to be nourished. You're welcome to stay with this expansion of quality on the breath for as long as you'd like. Just feeling the support of the body and recognizing that you have that support always. Wishing you ease and love and gentleness, and hoping that this practice has felt restorative and maybe a little bit rejuvenating for you. Thanks so much for practicing.